may have missed.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Lebanon's Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for Monday, January 7th, 2019. Could we have a roll call, please?
Gordon Perry.
Here.
Bruce Polly.
Here.
Ron Edwards.
Here.
Chad Kiger.
Here.
Lori Gross. Here.
Okay, we have a full house tonight. Next item would be the approval of minutes for the Monday, December the 5th, 2018 meeting. Has everybody had a chance to look at them? And if so, if there's any questions, we'll take it now. Otherwise, I'd take a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes as written.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. You want to take roll?
Gordon Perry.
Aye.
Bruce Polly.
Aye.
Ron Edwards.
Aye.
Chad Kiger.
Aye.
Lori Gross.
Aye.
Okay, everything is approved there. We have one item tonight on our agenda. I was going to do that at the very end. Okay. We have one item tonight on the agenda. It's the new business. It's docket number 19-1, Integrated Wellness LLC requesting a use variance approval to operate a medical office to be located at 215 West Chicago Street here in Indianapolis or in Lebanon. The property is zoned multifamily. Ben, would you like to take over?
Absolutely. Good evening, board members. Welcome to 2019. We'll kick it off with a fairly straightforward one here for you. I'm guessing many of you probably are familiar with the history of this property more than I am, but 215 West Chicago Street, it's formerly a commercial use. The challenge here is it's zoned multifamily. So there's a couple of images, if this is on. A couple of images of the property in your packet of the existing property. I'm sure if this is on. There it goes. So there you see the existing commercial building here. This is on the south side of Chicago Street. The owner of this property also owns a parking lot on the north side of this street that you see represented in this bottom photo here. As I said, it's been used previously as a commercial use, has been vacant for a period of time. I will let the applicant explain exactly how Integrative Wellness intends to use the property. We don't really have a great definition in our use table for their exact use. We've termed it medical office because they do some medical related. It's not a full doctor's office necessarily, but they do treat people there. So that's how we've classified this use. Because it's zoned multifamily, no commercial use is permitted by right. So that's the need for the use variance for the Board of Zoning Appeals. The other thing I'll just show you quickly so you can get an idea from a property perspective. As you can see here, not very well, there's a little bit of a glare, so I'm gonna move it a little bit. There we go. So the property you see is outlined in black here. It's about half of a typical downtown lot. So the lot is basically taken up entirely by the building itself, so there's no associated parking on site. You'll see when we get to the conditions that I've put together that we've required them to designate spaces across the street for the use and make sure that it's identified appropriately so customers, clients know where to go. Because you can see there's no room to put parking adjacent to the building on the site. So it's extremely limited. Just walking through some of the findings in the staff report. The approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Proposed use should have no significant impacts on the surrounding neighbors. Use and value of the area adjacent to the property, including the variance, will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. The immediate area around this subject property is a mix of single-family, multifamily, and non-residential uses. So the proposed use should have no adverse impacts. The property does actually contain a non-residential structure currently, so it's really not changing the use from what it has historically been used for. Need for the variance arises from condition peculiar to the property. It's a legally existing non-conforming structure. It's a non-residential structure. It happens to be zoned multifamily residential. The property has historically been used for non-residential uses, and I think one of the challenges here is that even if somebody were to try to use this for multifamily use, there really isn't much possibility of that. The property is so small, you can't provide parking. There's really no way to redevelop the site either. So this is a property that really couldn't be used for the intended purpose of the zoning district. The approval does not interfere substantially with the City of Lebanon comprehensive plan. While the comprehensive plan does designate this property for residential use, the current uses in the vicinity are a mix, and this is reusing an existing commercial building in really a low impact manner, not something that's going to drastically alter how this site or this area is being used. Staff recommends approval of the variance of use request to permit a medical office / clinic use within the multifamily residential zoning classification, subject to the following conditions. Number one, that the approval of the variance of use is limited to the medical office clinic use proposed by the applicant. Any change in use or increase in the intensity of the use by the current or any subsequent owners will require approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals. And number two, that the applicant specifically designate a minimum of 8 parking spaces in the parking lot across Chicago Street for the proposed use and provide appropriate signage directing users to those spaces. I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Ben, the land across the street on the north side of Chicago, by the GIS map here, it looks like it's a combination of about 4 lots. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, and does this property own all 4 of those and just part of them are being used, or do we know?
They may be able to clarify that. I do know that the 2 that are paved as a parking lot are all owned by the same owner. Okay. And it's kind of hard to tell on my printout that I have here who owns what, because those 4 lots are all pretty close together, but it does appear that they're all owned by the same property owner.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Ben? Thank you, Ben. Would the applicant care to step forward and tell us a little bit about it and his plans and so forth?
Sure. Well, I'm Andrew Gutwein, and be redeveloping this site for Inwell, as they're known. The site has been sitting kind of underutilized for a long time, and Inwell would like to provide more services within walking distance of downtown. So we're looking for a way to facilitate that. And we found this building and the site would fit well to let them practice and provide more services so people can, the walker, some of their patients walk around rather than have transportation, so it makes it a lot easier for them to come see the therapist and so forth if they can do that. So I think we can take a building that's been sitting there underutilized and put it back into pretty good use. And it's not a real intensive use. We'll end up, probably about 6 private offices in it, a big open area for reception and so forth, and then a big meeting room on the end of the building. So bring it back into shape and put it back into use.
Okay. You want to ask your question now of the...
Well, actually, if you could further define, Ben made reference to it's a medical facility, but not necessarily a doctor's office. What does that mean?
I don't know if everybody knows Inwell's operation or anything, or it's very similar to Cummins Behavioral Health, which they've been through the process before when I did the building for Cummins down across from the fire station. They do behavioral health services.
Oh, okay.
So therapists, therapy sessions, there's some group sessions that they do, which is the need for the larger room that we'll be doing on the end of the building. But right now they're scattered over numerous sites throughout town, and they're actually having trouble being some of the sites that aren't walking from the main core of town. So this will get more of those services back to the core of town.
Okay. And now the question I asked Ben, the lots or the property across on the north side of Chicago Street, are all 4 of those lots part of this project, or just the 2 that are paved?
No, actually there's a whole series that'll be coming up yet. I don't think we've shared this even with Ben, but Jerry Tansel is here. He represents ownership of all the lots. So it's actually tied together right now by a lease on 10 parking spaces across the street. I think I'd have to get a reminder from Jerry on what the names are on those lots. But that's what we've done in the short term to lock those up. You've got those 10 spaces to meet the requirement. And then in the end, the grand plan of this is to create a campus for Inwell and do a building on a similar scale to Cummins. Now, it's going to be a downtown, more of a downtown building, so we have some things we'll have to work with Ben to get styling and placement and so forth. That'll come in time, but that's the overall plan, is to move on across the street and create a campus there.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, this is a public meeting, and I got to open it up to the public, even though there's nobody out there, so it's now closed. So, did you get the answer you wanted on that? Okay, at this point, if there's no more questions for anybody, I would entertain a motion. Property.
I make a motion that we recommend approval of the variance of use request to permit a medical office / clinic use within the multi-family residential zoning classification, subject to the following conditions. Number one, that approval of the variance of use is limited to medical office / clinic use proposed by the applicant. Any change in use or increase in the intensity of use by the current or subsequent owners will require approval by the City of Lebanon Board of Zoning Appeals. Number two, that the applicant specifically designates a minimum of 8 parking spaces in the parking lot across Chicago Street for the proposed use and provide appropriate signage directing users to those spaces.
Thank you. Look for a second.
I second the motion.
Kelly, would you take roll, please?
Okay. Gordon Perry,
Yes.
Bruce Polly,
Aye.
Ron Edwards,
Aye.
Chad Kiger,
Aye.
Lori Gross.
Aye.
Okay, it passed unanimously. Good luck. And I'm sure everything will work out. We have one other item on tonight's agenda, and that's the election of officers for the 2019 year. I will open up for nominations from anybody.
I would nominate you, Bruce Polly, to continue to lead the BZA for the City of Lebanon.
As chairman.
As
Okay.
chairman.
Okay, anybody else want to put somebody's name in the hat for the chairman? Okay, everybody's shaking their head no, so,
You do a great job, Chris.
Yeah.
well, let's,
How about we leave everything as is, make a motion to do that? Can't
if
we-
that's what you guys feel.
I would second that motion to retain the officers as is.
Retain as is.
Okay,
Yeah, vice chairman.
yeah,
For the record, you want to tell everybody what those are?
okay, yeah, I will be I guess I'm elected to be the chairman, and Lori, it will be the vice chairman.
No,
Oh, it's Ron?
Ron's vice chairman.
I'm sorry, Ron is the vice chairman, and Kelly is the secretary. And I think we're,
So that's the motion, and then we need to.
yeah, that'd be the motion. Bruce, Ron, and Kelly.
Okay, I'll second that
And we got a
motion.
second to that motion. Would you take roll?
Okay. Gordon Perry,
Aye.
Bruce Polly,
Aye.
Ron Edwards,
Aye.
Chad Kiger,
Aye.
Lori Gross.
Aye.
Okay. Now we have the election officers for the month. Do we have any other business to discuss tonight? I would accept a motion to adjourn then.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned until Monday, February the 4th, 2019. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.